greetings to all those in Facebook land or YouTube land. Okay, this is Marilyn Green. I'm the hostess with the mostest, and you have tuned in to Girl Who Don't You Know. So today and all month, I have been talking to ladies who have had a journey with breast cancer. They're survivors, they're thrivers, they're fighters, they're all that. So I have called this the whole month of Pink Voices. Okay, and so I also want to say that breast cancer does not have a month. It does not have a time, a day, a year. You don't have to go and say, hey, I want to get my breast cancer screening in October. You can go any month, anytime. So whenever you see this, don't think that you got to wait. You don't. Okay. And the longer you wait, the longer you don't know. I'm always one of those like, hey, I need to know right now. Now, what is it? All right. So I'm going to welcome into Girl Who Don't You Know, a really, really super pretty lady. I mean, a fighter, a person that's just great. My guests are great, all of them, but she just great too. Okay, so Pamela C. King, hey, can you wave to us right now?
Hello.
How are you, Pam?
I'm wonderful, Marilyn. Thank you.
Great, super. So we got you here, and the first question I want to ask you is that, and I always want to ask this, that when did you find out? How did you find out?
My breast cancer journey started in August of 2019. Actually, if I hit rewind, it started in around the end of June. I bought this cute little bra from Amazon and buttons up in the front because
Oh, now.
get tired of turning that thing around. I want something easier to put on. And so I got that, and when I put it on, I felt a little pinch in the side. And so I said, "Oh, that felt a little unusual." And going through the motions, and I always do my regular breast exams every single month. And so I said, "Okay, well, that little knot that I felt right there in my left breast, that'll go away, after another menstrual cycle, because I was like clockwork, regularly having those things." Only 41 years old, actually 40, turning 41 years old. So I didn't think anything of it initially. But a couple weeks later, it did not go away. Not only did it not go away, it was warm to the touch. My left breast was swollen and kind of looking like an orange peel, and it was itchy, almost kind of like an infection.
Wow.
Not super obvious and discolored, but definitely something that didn't look like what the commercials say. It wasn't just, oh, you felt the lump, the rock, and you just know that it's breast cancer. It felt very unusual. And so I was concerned. I even questioned my own self. I had a really good girlfriend of mine touch that same spot to see if she felt what I was feeling, and then the spider senses went off and said,
Hmm.
"Okay, this is not usual." Made an appointment with my GYN, and when I went in for that appointment, she did the exam, and then she looked at me, and I said, "Doc, how hard do we have to pray?" For the
Wow.
first time in 8 years, her eyes welled up. I
Wow.
I had never seen that type of an emotion from her before. And the next thing I know, I'm going to have a mammogram done. My very first one, because when I tried to get one proactively, I was told by the insurance companies that I was not old enough. I did not have a family history, so I was denied. And so now here I am getting a diagnostic mammogram in August of 2019, and then shortly after a biopsy, and then the results: stage 3, triple negative breast cancer, had already
Wow. So,
metastasized to my lymph nodes.
so when you got the new bra, okay, let's go back to the new bra. Okay, you got the new bra. I know it's slamming, right?
Cute, cute,
And
cute.
you got really cute. Okay. You got the new bra, and you felt a lump then, or what happened? You felt a lump. Were you dismissive of it, or what went through your head?
What went through my head was I already have, heavier breasts, dense, what they call dense breasts.
Mm-hmm.
I had a breast reduction done about 15 years prior because I had large breasts then when I was active duty. So I'd had a breast reduction. So I had some scar tissue in there. And so I wasn't dismissive, but I didn't want to run to the doctor. I figured, okay, when you have your period, sometimes your breasts become engorged, things get a little lumpy. And so I was deciding to monitor it and keep an eye on it, waiting for the end of my cycle to see if it would go away. So I was giving it a couple weeks to see if it would dissolve on its own, to see if it was cystic or not. So
Okay. Okay, so tell me those symptoms again. You say it was hot. Was it stippled? An orange peel, like an orange. It was they call it stippling. That's
yeah,
what was happening. Was it
yeah,
in both breasts or just one?
just one.
Oh wow. Oh
On the
wow.
outer
So,
left side. My Now, what I will note was what I did not realize was happening was under my armpits. It was a little bit more sensitive when I put on deodorant, and they
mhm,
were a little fuller in my armpits. Typically, when we do our breast exams, we focus a lot on the breast itself. We tend to
mhm,
kind of ignore the fact that breast tissue extends beyond
mhm.
the breast. It's in the breast, it's in our underarms, even up here towards our lymph nodes. All of this right here is part of that breast tissue. And what I didn't
Wow.
realize was that mine was getting engorged. My lymph nodes were all swelling up under both arms.
Wow. Wow. One of the things that's tricky about this is being a woman, especially, is the hormonal changes that you have with the menstrual cycle. Whether you're having I can't say, I guess, active menstrual cycle or not, your body knows when you are engorged, I was just say, with hormones. And you have this, so you start to think that that's it,
Yeah.
right? You think that that's it, but that's not it. So everybody out there listening, that's not always it. So it's always important to do the self breast exam, right? And it's always important to follow up.
Yeah.
Don't just dismiss, well, maybe in a week or two it'll go down. It always happens like this. No, no, no.
Mhm.
Just go and get examined. Okay. So once your doctor said, okay, this is what's going on. Her eyes swelled up with tears. You knew then that something was bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What went through your mind then? What did you say to yourself? Like, really? Or what's this about? Okay. What did you say?
How hard I have to pray.
That's right. That's right. That's
That
right. And so, speaking of prayer, you took that, you went home. Were you by yourself, right? You were by yourself. You
Mhm.
went home and you told your loved ones then, or did you wait? How did you handle that?
I told my husband, that my doctor recommended a diagnostic mammogram. And what does that mean? His question, what does that mean? Now, here's truth and transparency. A year before this
Mhm.
happened, my husband had just beat prostate cancer.
Wow.
So this was not the first time that word showed up in our household. And
Hmm.
so, we're kind of sensitive to, is it not? And, timelines, and so it took about 2 weeks between these appointments. And so you're kind of on edge. And so in those 2 weeks, you have all kind of thoughts running through your mind. I don't have a family history of breast cancer.
Okay. That was my next
No,
question.
no woman in my family besides a distant cousin has had breast cancer, and she was older, about 20, 30 years older than me. My mother passed away in 2010 from systemic lupus,
Mm,
and my grandmother had died earlier that year in
mm.
2019. And so I have five aunts, and none of them had breast cancer. And so it didn't enter my mind because I believe these myths about breast cancer. I
Oh,
believe
what,
what I
what did you
saw.
believe? What
I
did you
believe what
believe?
I saw in the commercials that breast cancer
Oh,
happened to older women, menopausal or postmenopausal women.
Uh-huh.
They happen to, that the grandmother aged women. I didn't see a lot of black women on in the commercials with breast
Mm-hmm.
cancer. I had
Mm-hmm.
known actually only three black women in my life that had had breast cancer, and two of those were years, over 10 years prior. The other one that I knew, my friend, she is a champion. She is rocking it. She's a bodybuilder. She's fabulous. She's the only one, so she was kind of like my one-off. She was the
Okay.
exception, and so never would I have imagined me to. Never. I just figured, okay, we're going to go through this process, and the doctor's going to tell me, oh, it's just a cyst, and we'll monitor it. That is what I went into that appointment thinking.
Wow. Wow. So you didn't know anybody, and see, that speaks volumes too. I hate to say it, but you might be the first. But in that first, you always have to have a trailblazer, negative or positive, and being that trailblazer. How did you feel about that? Why me? Why not me? What I mean, what was what did you do? What did you say? Why me?
I didn't say why me. I've done hard stuff before, and I never ask God why me. I pray and I ask God, what are we going to do with this? And
Mm-hmm.
so it never entered my mind I wouldn't get through it. My faith is stronger than most any gift that I've been given, and I've done hard stuff. I'm an Iraq veteran and a sexual assault survivor, and so I've done hard stuff before. So I never had a doubt I'd get through it. What I didn't know was how I was going to get through it, and
Okay, let's
so
talk about that in a minute. Let me just say this. Thank you for your service. I gotta say that first. Go it on, vet. Go it on, vet. I love women vets. Okay, they be like, "Ooh, do this." Okay, try me, try me. I was with somebody and they said, "I said, girl, how we gonna get through this?" She said, "Girl, I'm a soldier." I'm like, "Ooh, okay, go it on, soldier." Okay, so when you talk about your faith, okay, we know that the Bible says that he gives everybody a measure of faith. And to me, when you talk about measure of faith, I think about for one reason, because my mind is like, wow, I think about a measuring cup. Okay. And in a measuring cup, you can have a quarter, a half, a whole cup, more than cups or whatever. So at this junction, you had to actually build up your faith even more. Or what? How did that look?
what that looked is the day before my diagnostic, I prayed and God
Mm.
responded that I was going to walk through this fire. It
Oh,
would
wow.
not consume me, that I would get through this. So before I received word from a doctor, I already had the answer, and I knew that no matter what it looked like, I'd get through it, and that He would carry me through it, and He would bring me through it. And on the other side of it, He would use that for His good. He would use that to spread a word of hope and a word of faith. So that wasn't my challenge. My challenge was not knowing what
Okay.
through meant, and that is where doing the hard stuff came in.
Okay, so let's go here. Now, you got your diagnosis. You started the journey.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you started the journey, what did that look like? What did that look like? Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's get it. Let's get real and raw. What did that journey look like? The beginning was it's a yes, it's malignancy, right?
Yeah.
Then you get into that part. What did that look like? What
So
happened?
what I learned on the inside of this sisterhood pink circle is that there are different types of breast cancer. Some are hormonal, and that makes up the majority of breast cancers. I had triple negative breast cancer.
Okay.
Triple negative breast cancer means that it is negative for estrogen, negative for progesterone, and negative HER2, which means that it's not genetic. I'm BRCA negative, BRCA1 and BRCA2 negative, and all of those things as we know today. I
Mm-hmm.
say that because triple negative breast cancer makes up less than 10% of all types of the breast cancer diagnosis, but
Mm.
statistically, 80% of those are young Black women under the age of 40
Wow.
without family history of breast cancer. In addition to that, The reason I talked about the swelling and the changes in my breast, I had
Mm-hmm.
inflammatory triple negative breast cancer, which is almost like my breast tissues became inflamed or infectious, almost like something inside got infected, which then triggered this spiral effect. My breast cancer was spreading at 95%.
Wow.
So it was quickly metastasizing in my body, which is why when I was diagnosed immediately at a stage 3, already in my
Mhm.
lymph nodes. And so for me, what did this journey look like? Right after I got confirmation of the word, I went right into surgery to have a port put in. After
Mm-hmm.
that port put in, I immediately started chemotherapy just days later. And I'll tell you what, people told, like, on the inside of my sisterhood circle, Scott Air Force Base rocks. Our breast
Okay.
survivor group on Scott Air Force Base, they brought me in, and they gave me some warnings. They told me to take a picture of my face and know my eyebrows because they're going to be gone. So know what your
Okay.
eyebrows look like, and a
Okay.
of your body hair is going to fall out. This right here, that's glory because all of this was gone. I was balding like my husband. And then the heart, and then chemo actually starts to take effect on your body. And when I say take
Mm.
effect on your body, it is non-discriminative when it kills cells. And so it is hard, it is painful. I laid on the floor because I was too weak to stand. I had to go in and get IV fluids after every treatment, at least 2 to 3 times in between when I would do treatments every 2 weeks. I
Wow.
would lose about 15 pounds per treatment. Developed a what they call a chemo-induced vomiting, and so I couldn't hold down any foods or liquids. My body was deteriorating, and you get on a regimen of taking
Mhm.
like a Benadryl to counter this effect, and it's a spiral. I did about 6 different cocktails of chemotherapy, one called the Red Devil, some call it the Red Angel. But I did that for about almost 7 months. And it got
Okay.
to the point where my body couldn't take it anymore. And we were looking at hospitalization over the Christmas holidays.
Mm. And when you say your body couldn't take it anymore, meaning that your body said what?
My body was weak. I was looking at either blood transfusions, um, hospitalizations. My blood cell counts were having a difficult time bouncing back. What we don't realize is when you go through chemo, the strongest you are when you start is the strongest you'll be. After every treatment, you don't really regain the strength you had when you had the last one. it you
Wow.
you your body is trying to recover, and as soon as you get good, it's time for another treatment, and you go through this cycle month after month after month. And so it got to the point where my doctor and we were in a hospital room. It was New Year's, and I was looking at hospitalization, blood transfusion. I couldn't hold anything down, and we made the decision that was my last treatment. Um,
Okay.
and so that was faith because science tells us that if you follow these steps, this is how it's
Right.
going to work out. And I didn't get
Right.
to follow all those steps. And so in the back of your mind, you wonder, okay, is this enough? And so that's
Yes.
where I had to have bigger faith again, and just trust God that it's not the chemo that's healing me. It's truly God doing it through medicine and intervention. So I just had to trust that God was going to do exactly what He said He would do when the journey started.
Yeah, hanging on to that faith is important. Now let's talk about your loved ones. I know you said about your husband had went through the prostate big C, and so now you're going through the breast big C. And so what happened in your household? Well, how was he thinking about it? Oh my, let's go there. We got to get in there. Let's tell us.
So, not just my husband, I'm also a mom of 2 fabulous boys.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest son at the time, Justin, he was in the 10th grade. My
Mm-hmm.
youngest son Jackson was in the eighth grade. And oh, by the way, let's throw in, I was going through this. Keep in mind, I started in 2019.
Uh-huh.
My last chemo was right when COVID was announced. And
Mm.
so I still had to go through more treatments and things during COVID. And so I bring that in because my sons at the time, when we had to have this conversation about breast cancer, it was 1 week into a brand new school year. And
Oh,
they had just experienced dad overcoming. And now we have to have this conversation about mom and breast cancer and stage 3. And so it was difficult to have the conversation, only because you don't know their reaction. But I refuse to not show them faith. I refuse to, one, not over like make it overjoyous and minimize the
right.
concern. But I needed to have a real conversation with them to let them know this is happening, this is what we believe, and this is how we're going to get through it. And so that we sat my boys down and we had this conversation, and they were quiet. We cried together as a family, and then we just knew to stand together. And they had these shirts that says, in this family, no one fights alone. And so
Wow.
they've always treated me like a queen, and especially when I was going through, they were there. And I have two brothers as well. And like I said, my mom had passed, and so I was mom, big sister, mom, 10 years older than my youngest brother. So the next conversation I had to have was with them, and
Wow.
that was hard. And my middle brother had just gotten a contract with Susan G. Komen to make these biker jackets for breast
Oh,
cancer survivors, and he did not know when he got that.
it was for
That he
you.
knew. So the first one he got made, he sent to me. So
Oh,
he
wow.
surprised me with
Oh,
that.
wow. I love the fact that you need that family structure. You need that support, And you mentioned Scott Air Force Base, and Scott Air Force Base, they had a group there. So it's, if you don't have family, okay,
Yeah,
there's somebody out there, a support group out there for you. So, don't be alone, and don't be afraid. Reach out and try to find those resources to bond and understand something about groups as well. You may not really fit in or gel with that group. Don't stop, go to the
absolutely.
next group, just keep going and stuff till you feel comfortable, you feel loved, you feel engaged, you feel all that, so yeah, if you don't have a loved one, somebody's out there to help you. Let me just say this: breast cancer ain't new. Okay, so it's somebody out there that's doing it already, so that's interesting. Let me go all the way back to the beginning of this conversation. You made a comment, and this part right here kind of bothers me a little bit, about the fact you said I wasn't old enough to get, as far as insurance. Did you say something about insurance
Not
and not
old
old
enough.
enough? Not.
So
Go ahead with that.
the mammograms,
Okay.
at the time when I was diagnosed that year, that year prior, you had to be 42 to have that the mammogram done, the annual
Hmm.
mammograms, the
Hmm.
pre-screening. That was the age at the time in which they considered, if you didn't have family history, to be the proactive screening. And
Right.
so I was not able to get that proactive screening because I
Hmm.
wasn't old enough, if you will, to have that approval done through my insurance carrier. And so I was in that population of people that was in this gray area.
Yeah. And
It
so
has
I know
now changed,
now
but
it's changed. Is it changed to what, 40? What's the age?
for 39, 40, I believe it's 40 now. But
Okay.
even since then, I will say, Maryland, even now, they have now even increased the recommendation that it's not just a mammogram. They're now recommending that in between mammograms, that women get MRI breast exams done. And so,
Okay.
especially those with dense breasts, women of color. And so now, in between your annual mammograms, they're recommending that women get the breast MRI done which has the ability to see through those thick, dense breast tissues,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to capture anything that may be not fully visible through the traditional breast mammograms, and even then with the breast ultrasound.
Okay, so I talk about it all the time, but health literacy is important. So we have to be armed with knowing that we can say, I need an MRI or I need this, I need that, and take control of our own bodies. Okay, we cannot just let people just tell us, well, no, that's not, everybody is different. We're fearfully and wonderfully made, we know, right? Well, we all are unique, so what worked for you won't work for me, but you have to be armed, all right, and ready to tell that doctor or nurse or whoever, have you considered this, right? Are you with me on that? What's your thoughts on that,
Oh, 100%.
Pam?
I will tell you, my first oncologist was not the oncologist that treated me next. My first oncologist was a general oncologist that did not specialize in breast cancer. And the initial treatment that he gave me was not what we discussed. And so immediately after that, when I got out of the emergency room,
Mm-hmm.
I went to my sister circle who worked
Okay.
in a different hospital. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to my WashU Siteman Cancer Center
Mm-hmm.
physicians and nurses and practitioners and all of that. I went to one of my sisters through the church who worked at the hospital, and I told her what happened. I looked up who specialized in triple negative breast cancer. That doctor was right there at WashU. We worked together and got me transferred. My initial doctor didn't want to release me, but this was about my life, and I
Come
could
on.
not trust my life to hurt feelings. And
Wow.
so I could not afford to experiment with my life, and so I needed someone that was in alignment with what I believed and a specialist in what I was fighting. And so that led me to my physician. I won't mention her name just for patient privacy, but that led me to one of the best oncologists in the United States, who happens to be right here in St. Louis, that specializes in triple negative breast cancer.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's good. Okay, so I'm looking at some questions here. So what's next for you? What you doing? What you doing? Since you since you had all this, you're quite articulate. I know you done studied it. I mean, you're gone and you done the doggone thing. What are you doing now? What are you doing now? What are you
So
doing?
what I will tell you now, and I want to plug this in there too, is raising
Please.
awareness that survivorship means something different to everybody. Breast
Hmm.
cancer for me, this is my journey. I have lymphedema as a result of my breast cancer treatment and doing 38 rounds of radiation. And so with that, I have some physical limitations that impact, just some movements in my arms, but I don't let that stop me. But
That's right.
it did get me down. And so here's what I'm going to tell your audience, and that is mental health. And so I am an advocate of getting the help you need. I did it when I got home from Iraq and I had PTSD. And I went in for a refresher when I was battling breast cancer. And even on the tail end, when I was struggling with, that anxiety of, is it coming back? What does this little ache mean? And then redefining hope and redefining success. I'm an entrepreneur. I help women achieve their bold goals without guilt, shame, or fear. And these are principles I had to courageously live into. I had to believe what I was sharing, and I had to take what I was teaching. And so for me, helping women achieve their bold goals is not just in business. This is about your life. I am not a therapist, and I have a best friend that is. So if you are struggling with hope, I encourage you to go find a mental health professional that can help you. Prayer is what gets me through. My faith is everything, and God is the reason I'm still here. And because of him, I have the wisdom to know when things are too hard and it's hard for me to move forward, to talk to a professional about that and pray. It doesn't have to be one or the other, that it can be both. And so with that, if women want to reach out, and somehow my phone has become the central line for triple negative breast cancer in this area, but I'm here for my sisterhood. And so if women want to reach out to me and talk to me about life coaching or their business goals or
Right.
how to create alignment between their life and their business, you can always reach me on pckingconsulting.com or just email me directly, Pam at pckingconsulting.com, or hit me up on LinkedIn, Pamela C. King, for the number four, success. Either way, I'm your sister. I believe in sisterhood, and I'm here for everything, especially for this woman right here, girl who don't you know, the center of it
That's
all.
me.
If you don't know somebody, ask Marilyn. She is only 3 phone calls and an email away from connecting you to that amazing woman on the other side. So that's what I'm up to.
Oh my God, Pam, I need to keep you in my pocket with me all the time because I like that. I am the girl behind Girl Who Don't You Know. Okay, you're right. I can't do it like that. Wow. Okay, that's a good thing. Pam, you know what? This has been so great. I am so happy that you came on and you do have a story and you have the confidence to say we can get through this together. Okay, that's what I hear and that's what I see, and so I'm just excited that we got the opportunity to talk about it because breast cancer to me and raising awareness, it's just not about breast cancer. It's the mental health. It's a whole bunch of things that come up or bubble up during this time that and I can boldly and bravely say that God might be trying to work up out of you. You don't know. You know,
Absolutely.
the Bible says to count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. So when things happen, you got to count it all joy. But I'm gonna tell you something. You have to go and get screened.
Yes.
Okay, you have to go. If you don't go, guess what? You won't know. And what you don't know will hurt you in the long run. So for me, I'm going to go because I want to know. So you have to go. And if you saw Girl Who Don't You Know on the go, I mean, I went and got my mammogram. That was my birthday gift to me. So whatever way you got to stack it, whatever way you got to put it, that's what you have to do. Some people do February. It's the month of love. Okay, love on yourself. Okay, but a birthday is a good day to say I'm giving myself life. So that's what I would say do. And that's an easy way, right? To remember it's your birthday. Go give yourself a gift for real. Give yourself the gift of life. So but Pam, it's been really good. And I thank you so much for coming on. And everybody out there, you better listen up, stop playing, listen up, ladies. Okay. Yeah, you put on them boxing gloves and you start this fight, okay? But you don't even know that you got to fight until you go find out what's going on with you, okay? So go
You
ahead,
don't,
Pam. I'm good.
and you don't have to fight alone. No one has to fight alone. It
I
takes
love that.
more than strength to beat this disease. It takes all of us.
Wow. I
We
love
are
that.
in this together.
That is so true. So I'm going to end today. Hey, you guys go and follow and subscribe. I've had big, big, big fun here always. I just love doing this. Okay. This Marilyn Green, Girl Who Don't You Know? Girl Who Don't You Know? I am the hostess with the mostest. And I just love having fun. So until next time, go out there and have a wonderful, prosperous day on purpose. Thank you.